So one of the things that I think is really interesting is to sit around and try and do the same thing with the NFL. If there was an NFL playoff committee, only 4 teams get in, and you have to go best 4, especially last night, because it creates one of the conundrums the committee faces. Seattle just beat an undefeated 49ers team. So how do we now view the 49ers, and how do we now view Seattle in the process of the best 4? So, gentlemen, we are now the NFL playoff committee, and it is our job to decide best 4. Are we ready for this responsibility?
Wow. Okay.
All right. You feel good about this?
So this is obviously for this time, just like the committee's going to do tonight, for right now, not projecting forward to
today. Who
right
are best
now,
4?
who the best 4, knowing that it's going to change.
Right. And knowing that your job right now is to put the best 4. Now, does it matter what division they play in? Does it matter?
No. Conference or anything. No, it's just 4.
And so are you as a committee member going to factor in, for example, strength of schedule? Because we talked a lot about the fact that, for example, the Patriots haven't played a particularly brutal schedule. The Bills haven't, but how do we...
Bills just lost to the Browns. They're not in the 4.
Right. So, now the 49ers, how do we view the 49ers after 1 loss? So is there a clear number 1 to you guys that sits at the top of your 4?
So I'll tell you right now, my 4 teams, I don't have an order just yet.
He's got top 4.
But I have my top 4 of the 4 teams that are in are the Patriots, the 49ers, the Seahawks, and then I have to decide between the Packers and the Saints. And if you want to go on last week's game, because this is how we do it, then I have to go with the Packers. And I have to have the Saints out of the top 4 right now with that egg that they laid. If we're going just now off of what we're doing, those would be my 4 teams that I have not put in order. I'm just doing this right off the top of my head.
Well, but I will then I'll come back and I will challenge your Packers mindset, because the Packers have a blowout loss, and the committee typically says, "Hey, you lose 26-11, you don't get." But then again, so do the Saints. The Saints have a 26-9 blowout loss.
Exactly
so now we
right.
have 2 teams with a blowout loss. So does that change?
Well, then I would, if that were the case, I would have to find another team to put in there.
So, Dad, who did you say your 4 was?
The Patriots, the 49ers, the Seahawks, and I guess I'm going to go with the Packers, given what happened with the Saints this week.
I would posit the Baltimore Ravens. Head-to-head win over the Patriots,
right.
MVP candidate at quarterback, quality wins, something that we always talk about having matters to the committee as well.
You're right.
It's hard to ignore what Baltimore does have the inexplicable loss to the Browns.
That was also a 15-point loss. It's a big loss.
Exactly. So you look at all these things and consider those factors. I look at the 4 teams that I'm juggling right now.
Yeah, you're right. I'm dumping out the Packers and putting in Baltimore.
You're dumping out the Packers.
Yeah.
So your top 4 then, your final top 4.
Seattle just beat the only undefeated team in the NFL. So I know. Yeah. Yes, I am.
I see, and this is another one where I look at, all right, we talk about the eye test, the best versus most deserving part of this. I have a hard time leaving the Packers out for that reason. You've got, in addition to the Aaron Rodgers that we know and love now, an Aaron Jones who's elevating himself into the MVP conversation at running back. You're getting healthy, which health is something the committee takes into account. Devontae Adams now back at wide receiver, so you've got a guaranteed bucket at wide receiver.
Let me ask you a quick question. Do you have New Orleans in the top 4?
No, not right now.
Do you have Seattle in the top 4?
Yes.
New Orleans beat Seattle in Seattle with a backup quarterback.
Yeah, no, well, listen, absolutely counts, but that was also a long time ago already in the season. So
okay.
Can I though, just to be a disturber here for a second, and
an agitator?
Yes, an agitator, and bring in one other question, because in the college football mindset, remembering that the Patriots have beaten the Dolphins, the Jets, the Bills, the Redskins, the Giants, the Jets, the Browns. They've beaten a bunch of bad teams.
You know who the Patriots are?
Bama.
Clemson.
No, right. They're Bama.
But they're
I
Bama.
was going to say, yeah.
They're Bama.
Yeah.
They have one loss, but it's to the only team that they've played that's worth anything this year. So I look at the Patriots are the hardest one for me to justify putting in a playoff system like this, because even though we look at it and say, oh, my God, they're the Patriots, they're going to be great. Well, today, their resume doesn't give us the opportunity to view them as great. So for me, the Patriots are the team that I think gets left out. I have to look at 49ers. I think you guys are right. I think it's 49ers. I put the Ravens in my top 4. I don't know the order yet. And the Packers and the Seahawks. Those are I think, right now the top 4 teams in the NFL.
So that's your 4? All right, my 4, I do not have Green Bay in now. I'm glad you talked about Baltimore. I have New England, Baltimore, San Fran, Seattle.
I think the only reason so you took New Orleans out too.
Oh, I didn't have New Orleans in the beginning.
Okay.
I had Green Bay in, and I popped them out because I forgot about Baltimore.
But see, I believe this is why I wanted to do this exercise, because it's so complicated. I believe if you had to bet, as you say, an uncomfortable amount of money on New Orleans or Green Bay on a neutral field.
No, that's not what we're doing.
No, but
that's not what we're.
But that's part of
Jason,
trying to figure out the best four.
No, you're trying to figure out the four right now. You're telling me in college that if a team like New Orleans, compare them to whoever you want, just got bounced the way they did, they wouldn't be penalized and probably out of the top four for that. I'm not doing
lose late.
Yeah, I'm not doing the neutral field thing. You said we're not projecting forward right now.
But you're right. It's all part of it. It's all part of it.
But they do that.
FPI, probability of making the playoff, like all that stuff. It's all a part of the way that we consume this. And so Jason's assessment of that is a part of the whole. It's not the entire thing, but it's a part of it.
I have no problem.
Who you think is
I
best.
have no problem right now saying any of those four teams could beat New Orleans on a neutral field.
I think I feel like New Orleans is a better team than the Packers, and the Packers are only 2 weeks removed.
Well, I don't have the
from
Packers in, so it's fine by me.
Packers. Okay, so who are you finding?
I have New England, Baltimore, San Francisco, Seattle. Those are my four.
Man, that's a good four.
Those are my four. Mike, your four?
I think right now I have Baltimore, Green Bay, Seattle, and New England.
Yeah, Baltimore, Green Bay, Seattle, and New England. I think, yeah, I'm going to stick with. I'm going to put the 49ers in. I'm going to put the Ravens in. I'm going to put Seattle in. And I'm going to put San Francisco in.
And that's with, I would say, and that's with San Fran. That's with New Orleans knocking on the door on the outside.
So that's me leaving New Orleans out. And
so
the
who
Packers
are you for
out.
again?
49ers, Ravens, Seattle, and New Orleans are my top four.
New Orleans. So at Golic and Wingo, give us your top four. You want to rank them 1 through 4, that's fine. But the top four you're in. So your top four right now, like the committee.
And that's,
So we all have different top fours.
And that's part of what's really difficult about the process. And that's why I always say, when you think about 13 people that all come to the decision of best four a different way. Each of us sort of look at different metrics for best four.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.